Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you my second try at using crazy pages to make art journal pages in my little homemade journal here. This journal has been around the world and it has some pages. This is the very first one I ever made myself, and it has some pages that need to be finished, so I'm hoping to use this crazy pages art collaboration project to finish all the rest of the pages in this book, and then I'll give you a flip through at the end. But this is my second one. I've taken all the stuff that I received from all the different people from around the world during this crazy pages collaboration. This was started by Ayala Art Channel. She has this thing going over there on Facebook, and she invited people to join, and then everyone makes their crazy pages and they send them all to all the other people, and then everyone gets something back from all those people. And I will put in the iCard above me making my crazy pages, and also the first video that I made using some of these. So I've put them all in a little plastic folder, and I'm just going to use them. I didn't like try to make a book out of it like some people did. I just put all the stuff, including any envelope that was interesting, anything that was like postage, any of that stuff, little notes, drawings, anything that I thought was interesting out of those envelopes that I got from all the other people. And I put them all in a plastic envelope, and then I'm just using them to make my pages. So everything that's on here is from someone else. That's kind of how an art collaboration works. You get something and then you finish it in your style. And so far I haven't really added a whole lot of my style to this other than just composition. This first piece that I'm putting on the background here is a really cool piece of paper. I don't remember which person. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the video of me opening all these who sent me this, but it's a piece of handmade paper, and it has little torn up pieces of text weight paper embedded into the paper. And I don't know if the person made it themselves. I have made paper before, and it's really fun. You can make it out of, you know, all your junk mail, grind it up and make paper out of it. But really cool piece of paper. I decided to put that on my whole background, covering up everything on those two pages. There's a big gap in between my signatures. This is the very first book I ever made, and I didn't realize that was going to happen. And so that having a covering on the whole background collaged on makes it really nice to cover up that little gap. You don't notice that it's there. So then I got out some different pieces. The background's obviously blue, so I got out some different pieces that I thought might match from all the different people. And this one was a little note, and it had a drawing on both sides of this one looks like an elven girl, and I think that she put the note in there. It said "Inks will run" on it, I guess as a warning that for her page, whatever she used on it, if you get it wet, it's going to run. Then this other piece that I'm using is the inside of the envelope that someone sent. I thought it had a nice blue, you know, it was like a safety envelope, larger one though, and it had this blue on the inside. And since it was blue and since it had a nice pattern, I decided to cut it into strips and to kind of do sort of like a weaving thing over the pages to make the left and right side work with each other. So I'm again using my matte gel medium. This is the formula that I prefer. It's like a thicker, kind of almost like a paste. This is the Liquitex brand, and I'm attaching all the strips. I made them in different sizes. I just cut them with a guillotine paper cutter, you know, chop, chop, chop. And I'm weaving them in with each other and then sticking them down on the page. And just trying to make an interesting pattern in the background. Those pieces of paper that are embedded in the homemade paper, they're generally square. I mean, they're torn, but they're generally square. So I'm going with kind of a whole angular squares, and then of course text theme on my page to kind of link everything together. You know, there's text on those, there's squares on those in the background, so then I'm trying to bring that together with a whole look here, also using the color scheme as something that unifies the page as well. The girl drawing that I picked has blue hair, so that matches the blue of the background. You know what I'm saying here? Like all these pieces are from different people, and I wished I knew which ones, but I just decided not to care. I just decided to put everything together in one big envelope and use it as I will to put these pages together. So the little drawing I decided to glue on the left-hand side of the page, still using that matte medium. And she is right, the inks that she used on this drawing are running. So I'm really kind of smearing it a little bit as I go. And the drawing was made over a written note that was intended to be in the background. You know how you sometimes put a drawing or stamping or something over a text background? That's what she did. But there is this word right here on the neck that says grief. I can't read what the note is about, and I wasn't meant to. It's not for me. The note was, the inks are going to run. That was what I was supposed to get out of it. But she has some type of a handwritten note that maybe, I don't know where she got it. I don't know if it's her note. I don't know if someone mailed it to her. But she's made her drawing over the top of it, and most of it you can't read. But there's this word grief on the neck. And also I've kind of smeared some of the inks, and so my intention is to paint over the top, keeping the girl looking the same. That drawing's not my style. I wouldn't, if I drew a girl, that's not what it would come out like, because mine look different than that. That's her style. So I want to retain the style while lightening it up and covering some of the background words, which in the video you can't really see it. It's written in pencil, but I can see it. It's very obvious. The writing through the face is very obvious. Also, I had some different stamps that I tore off the different envelopes. I save postage stamps if they're pretty. I mean, obviously a lot of people use those, plain ones nowadays, or it's a printed postage or whatever. I don't save that stuff, but I do save anything that's pretty, and there was a couple here that had some interesting architectural buildings. There was one with flowers, and then there's this one that says celebrate. And then this other sticker down at the bottom is something that gets put on international mail sometimes. It says par avion on it. I don't know what that means, but it was on one of the envelopes too, and it was blue, so I thought it matched. So I wanted to use an odd number. I used 5 different little elements there and glued them on randomly. And then now I'm going with some Neocolor 2 water-soluble crayons. These are like an oil pastel, only water-soluble. So it's a pigment in some type of a, I don't know, a medium, and then I can draw it on there and then blend it. And it is water soluble, so if you just put it on there, it's going to be still, able to be moved around. So what I do is I just put a little bit of acrylic paint on my palette. In this case, I used white. I could use a clear medium, which wouldn't change the colors of the crayons as I put them, as I blend them. But when you blend it with the acrylic, and then this is a water brush, so there's a little bit of water too to help the blending. Then that makes that crayon permanent after it dries. So that's what I'm using to lighten up the skin, cover up a lot of that pencil markings, although there are still some there, and in the close-up pictures you'll see them still. It is still there. But a lot of it is covered because it was too much for me. Then also I want to make her hair a different color than the background because it's blending too much into the background. So I start out with some lavender crayon, and then I go with a darker blue to kind of put in some dark back in, and then after that I use white, I think, to just really make it stand out from the blue background. I want it all to coordinate, but I want to be able to see you know, the difference between the background and the hair. So this is just the white acrylic paint on my water brush, and I'm just going over and adding highlighted streaks into the hair, which then really makes it stand out from the background, which was my intention. So when I'm doing skin tone, I usually put a lot of different layers on, and you'll see me do that. I let, you know, dry something or let it dry, and then go back in, put another layer on, add some pink to the cheeks. I decide that her eyebrows should be purple and blue like her hair, and you know, just back and forth, back and forth. That's the trade-off. It's a weird way to do it. There's lots of other ways. You know, I could just use pure acrylic paint to paint over it, but I wanted to retain a little bit of the translucency so that you could still see a little bit of that text coming through. So that's the reason that I use the water-soluble crayons. And the Neo Color 2 brand are the best ones. They're just, you just can't even improve on them at all. They're so water reactive. They're so highly pigmented. Beautiful product. One of my favorites. If I was to have to go to a deserted island with, you know, just a couple art products, Neo Color 2s would be my choice. So they're awesome. I highly recommend them. And I'm not being paid to say that. I don't even think they have influencers. If they do, I want to be on their team because I love their products. They're from Cron de Ash, which is a European, I don't know, I think it might be German or something, I'm not sure. So then I'm coming in with a little bit of darker color crayons to add a little bit of shadows and definition to the face. Still not changing the style of the face, but kind of enhancing the highlights and shadows a little bit. I probably could have put, you know, 10 more layers on and still would have been fussing with it. So at some point you say, okay, that's enough. Step away from the water-soluble crayons. That's what you have to say to yourself. So what else can I say? I mean, this goes on for a while, you know? The total number of people in the collaboration, I believe, is 9. And I have not received one person's page still, so maybe it was 8. I don't know. Anyway, looking at my little envelope, I've already used up a lot of the material on only 2 pages, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make a total of 9 because, yeah, I'm going through it pretty fast. That probably has something to do with the sizes because there wasn't any like set size. It was just like make a crazy page, send it to somebody. So a lot of the ones that I got were quite small, and so I needed more than one together to fill up a page in this book, even though it's not that big of a book. So that's probably the reason that I'm going to end up with fewer than 9 pages at the end. I really want to finish this book, and I thought it would be perfect to finish up this book, but I may end up with a couple blank pages still. But there are some that are just a single side, so maybe those pages will be smaller and I can use up less materials doing that. So I brought in some Posca pen and drew around her eyes, and then added some white to well, it's not the pupil and it's not the iris, so the other part, the whites of your eyes, I added white to that using a Posca pen. And then I'm just going back in, you know, alternating between putting crayon on and blending it with my acrylic and water brush, and adding a highlight, adding shadow, just back and forth, back and forth. Like you do. I think she's pretty cute. She has big elf ears. and a perfect colored hair. That's, you know, it's purpley bluish. I like it. I'm coming in with the brown crayon and adding some more shadows. It's always good to use more than one color for your highlights and your shadows. And I started with like a terracotta type colored shadow crayon and then moved to like this brown, more brownish one to deepen it up a little bit in some places. So then I have this indigo colored crayon and I'm going around the outsides of things and adding a shadow. What this does is it really helps the glued on elements of a page become more cohesive, like they were intended to be that way and not just stuck on the page. And so I'm going around things, adding a shadow along the stamps, adding a shadow along the strips, and I'm not like carefully doing it. I'm doing it very quickly and then blending that crayon out with the water brush into the background, and I think it really adds a lot to the page. If you're enjoying this art journal page in this series of crazy pages, make sure you give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course turn on your notification bell so you know when a video comes out pretty much every other day on my channel. So then, because there was the text in the background and the text was part of my theme here, I got out a Tim Holtz stencil and I'm stenciling using some of that leftover white paint. And I've got some new tools for stenciling that were suggested by somebody in the Stencil Club, the Stencil Girl Stencil Club. She said she saw someone at a stamping convention or something using these brushes to stencil, and she said they were great. And she even gave a link, and so I ordered them, and what they are is makeup brushes. They're a very strange toothbrush-like makeup brush with a very soft bristle, and they're great. So far, this is the first time I've used them, and then I used them on another project that will be coming up. Or maybe this is the second time I've used them in the other project just before this one. But yeah, I'm impressed. They're so soft, and then when you're done with it, you just wash it like a paintbrush. So I really am pretty happy with them for stenciling so far. So I will link them in the description box below in case you want to pick them up. They were not expensive at all. I think it was like a whole set of them for $7 and on Amazon. And they were also they'll also be great for applying makeup too, especially if you're really into contouring and highlighting and that type of stuff, fancy makeup. So soft and nice, and you could really blend your makeup with them. So my final touches were to add a little bit more, Posca pen, cleaning things up. I put some words on there with my label maker, and I put a little shiny stick-on gem on her cheek. Yeah, and I think that's about it. Some more highlighting in her hair. So that's it for me. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.